Konnichiwa. My name is Alex and I am your player, your GM, your host for A Table for One, a podcast where I play through various role-playing games solo style. And this is session 2 of From the Shadows, my Metro Otherscape playthrough. Of course, I am using Mythic Game Master Emulator 2nd Edition and Tokyo Otherscape as my side sources as well. In the last session, Rin got her target, which is Renji Tanaka, and she investigated his apartment to varying degrees of success. She did find a clue, though. He might be at the Neon Eclipse Club. And that is actually where we're going in this second scene. I do want to give a shout out to Rick James 7391 for this amazing description of Neon Eclipse. I've used that as my inspiration for this opening cutscene, and so why don't we get right into it? Grab something very good to drink, and let's dive into session 2 of From the Shadows. Neon Eclipse. Even outside, Rin can hear the music booming from the renovated warehouse. There aren't any lines of people waiting to get inside. This isn't that kind of establishment. The interior is huge and open, but many of the rooms do not actually have real walls. Instead, there are terminals that provide the latest AR experience. Drones of people sit in recliners, completely oblivious to their surroundings. There are a few women passing back and forth to cater to the needs of those still awake. Those who are not lucky enough to snag one of the AR spots sit idly close by, either at the bar or on the dance floor, which looks fairly sparse considering the lack of couples and the overbearing presence of males. Suddenly, a group explodes in cheer and applause as a gamer manages to turn the tides for his team in a first-person shooter Rin has never heard of. She turns her attention to the front desk, the only barrier that might prevent her entry. As we've established in the previous session, our scene is going to go as expected. So there's no interruptions, no alterations. Our chaos factor is at 4, and so we're just going to investigate the club. The first thing that I actually want to do is see who is behind this front desk. Let's go ahead and roll up a descriptor for them. And I've got my D100, and I have my own list for cyberpunk specific, or I guess Metro Otherscape specific descriptors for characters. So let's see what we actually get here. A 73. This person is camouflaged. All right. So Rin is up to this front desk and she sees this guy just waiting behind there, but he's like all decked out in camouflage gear. Maybe he's got like a sleeveless jacket that's all, military style camouflage. He's got the pants, he's got the little combat boots. He's really one of those people that really digs the camouflage, like the US Army type camouflage with the browns and the greens and stuff like that. And I guess I would imagine that he's got like some sort of a buzz cut as well to kind of match that aesthetic. And Rin is going to approach him and she's going to want entry. Hopefully she can seek entry. And so what I think we need to do is establish if there is a fee for entry here, or can she actually just walk on in? And that's going to be a fate question. And what are the chances that she can just walk right on in? Well, I'm actually thinking of Japanese internet cafes, and I do believe you pay per hour or something like that to get in. So I would imagine that she would be able to walk right on in. So can she walk right on in? That is our fate question. And the chances of that is going to be very likely with our chaos factor of 4. That's going to be a 65% chance that the answer is yes. A 10 will actually be a resounding yes. Remember, on the fate chart, there are really 3 numbers. The middle number is the chances of a yes, so 65% and under is yes. The number to the left of that is a 13, and that is an extreme yes. So something happens here, or she is granted entry. And I think what's really going to happen here is the fact that she's wearing her fashionable outfit. She's a woman, and so this camouflage dude kind of notices that, and he's going to basically just wave her on in. And as Rin walks into this club, she's going to notice that there are eyes on her. Now, because Rin is probably the most attractive person in this entire club, we're going to go ahead and give her a status to help her out. We're going to give her attractive, probably tier 1, because we really didn't use any power for this. And I think it stands to reason, since we did get an extreme success, we do get some benefit out of that. So we're going to go ahead and give Rin attractive, tier 1. And remember, statuses can really help us out depending on their tier. So if we decide to use attractive as a tag, that would give us 1 power because it's tier 1. Now, Rin is going to walk around the club and just get a feel for it. And we really should probably determine if Renji is here. But I'm not really going to roll on the fate chart because I think that would be a cop-out. That would be kind of like cheating, and it could really hinder us, or it could just make this case for us. So instead, I'm going to have Rin do a little bit of reconnaissance. Actually, we're going to do some conversational inquiry, and I am getting this from the Actions Database book, which has some intel gathering stuff. And so with our tag, Attraction 1, that will really only give us 1 power. But hey, it's better than nothing, and that's what we've got. Let's go ahead and roll and see what happens. We have a 4 and a 1, which is 5, plus 1, which is 6. That's actually a miss. Well, there's certainly going to be a little bit of a consequence, and I think the one thing that really makes sense is we're going to turn her status attractive 1 into a little bit of a weakness here. And we're going to bump that up. We're actually going to change it from attractive 1 to all eyes on her, maybe tier 2. We're going to bump up that status a bit. And really, this is just going to make it harder for her to sneak around and do things nefarious. All eyes are going to be on her from this point on. But also, because it is a status, depending on how you really play it, it could also be a bit of a benefit. So how about this? What if Rin could attract someone to her? Because all eyes are on her, it's probably going to be easy for her to get to somebody else. And instead, what we're going to do here, we're going to use a little bit of some intimidation tactics here. While she's trying to talk to these men, she's really not going to get any information, and she's finally had enough. And well, the next poor soul is going to get a rude awakening. Because she is trying to extract some information from a person, we are going to use best in the business. In addition to that, I think also trained in ninjutsu would work, but I'm actually going to go ahead and say that's really more of like the physicality of the job. And so instead, what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to use tough as nails and nobody's fool. So she's not going to be caught up in somebody else's words or trickery and charms and stuff like that. She's going to have a one-track mind. She's going to be very focused. So we do have a power of 3, but I'm also going to exploit the fact that she's got all eyes on her for -2. So that brings us down to 1. Let's go ahead and roll and see what happens here. A 4 and a 2 makes 6, plus 1 is finally that 7 that we need. So we do get a bit of a consequence, but we also succeed in what we're trying to do here. Rin is approached by a group of men. They are trying to score a hit on her, basically. They're trying to get in close so they can talk to her. It's like the hottest female here in this club, and they really want to chat her up, you know, maybe try to take her home or something like that. And she's trying to get this information if Renji is here or not. And well, she's finally had enough, and she's going to go ahead and pick one person who's a little bit too close. And that's when she turns the intimidation on. She probably grabs his finger and like bends it backwards or something like that. You know, a little bit of pain here while she pushes him up against a wall, and she begins to ask her questions. And as she asks her question, if she's seen Renji, the others are gonna kind of back away a little bit. Because our power was 3, we can actually remove the full effects of All Eyes on Her, which makes sense here with her intimidation tactic on this poor fellow. So as she begins to intimidate him, cause a little bit of pain, ask some questions, the others are just going to go away. And I think everybody else who's got All Eyes on Her are gonna go back to their business now. Let's think a moment about the consequence of Rin's actions here. She's used a little bit of intimidation, so we managed to actually get a success, but now there needs to be a consequence. So this guy is going to have some information for her, but it's probably not going to be so good for her. And what we're going to do is present a new challenge here. Because this guy, he's going to tell Rin that he has seen Renji, and in fact, he's in the back room somewhere. He points over there to the side, and Rin casually looks over there, keeping a firm grip on his finger, and she sees this doorway, and it looks like there's a set of eyes on that doorway. Somebody is guarding it. So there's something back there. What? She doesn't really know just yet. I think she would ask him what's back there, but I think this guy is also kind of low tier that he just doesn't really know. He's just too preoccupied with what's out here on the floor. Let's talk about challenges real quick. We've just established that there's a door that Rin has to get through and that it's being guarded by somebody. Well, there's actually all sorts of different challenges in the Metro Otherscape book, and of course you can always just make yours up on the fly. So what kind of a person is guarding this door? I'm actually going to use the gang member profile for this one because it's just a generic gook that we can just really don't have to worry about. There's nothing really outstanding or special about this person. It's just a body that's supposed to guard this door. With that being said, gang member has hurt or subdue 3, so we would have to inflict a tier 3 status that either hurts or subdues them in order to get past them, or we can do threaten 2. So things like intimidation would be a way to get past them. They also have home field advantage, which is a tag that they get that can really weaken our other tags. And they've also got a lot of other stuff here. So let's go nitro, which is they basically just inject themselves with a drug. Don't need to really worry about that here because they're not really a gang member. They're just a body here. So we're probably going to get rid of that. We don't really need to worry about emerge from an alley with a weapon already in hand because there's really no alley here, but they might have something to use to kind of help control a person or a crowd or something like that. Run, jump, or roll towards something in the area. We can definitely use that, so we'll keep that. Warn that their friends will be here soon, so basically they're just going to bang on the door and all of a sudden we have to deal with more of these members. I think the best way for Rin to approach this one is to use what she does best, and that's going to be intimidation. What we're going to do here is take these same tags that we just used with the other person from our intimidation, and we're just going to apply them here to this person as well. I believe that was a 3-tag scenario, so best in the business, tough as nails, and nobody's fool. Maybe not that one because we're not really dealing with somebody who's going to try to charm us or trick us or anything like that. This is basically going to be a straight up, no dog, you can't come in here. So I think we're just going to have 2 power for this one. Let's go ahead and roll the dice and see what happens here. A 5 plus a 1 makes 6 plus another 2 is a 7, so we do get a success, but with a little bit of a consequence tied to it. We do have 2 power here, so I am going to use those 2 powers to kind of threaten this member, this gang member, quote unquote, into letting us through. So Rin steps up to the gang member, and she's not looking very happy at all. And she is going to tell him that she's looking for her boyfriend, Renji Tanaka. The guy's going to look at her. He's probably seen what she's done to that other guy over there by the bar, so he's going to give a quick nod, and he's going to even open the door for her and let her in. That begs the question, what's behind the door? Let's go ahead and use the descriptor oracle for this one. I'm actually going to roll a 2-word description for this one using my own oracle. And this is a D66 roll, so my blue die is going to be the 10s and my red die is going to be the 1s. We have a 12, which is gritty, and we have 46, which is glistening. Gritty and glistening. Huh. That's quite polar opposites. This is really weird because what my mind has just thought of actually does make sense. So hear me out. Because remember, these words are just to get the ideas into our head, even if they aren't exactly specific to that word. So it's gritty down here. It's going to be a little bit dark, maybe some dimly lit lights, but I'm actually going to say the glistening part is going to be because there's some glistening bodies, as in sweat. So that stands to reason that there's going to be something here where these people are maybe shirtless, sweating, and the thing that comes to mind is a fight club. Oh yeah, let's go there. Fight club. If we're going to establish that there's a fight club here, that means that there is going to be a crowd down here as well that are placing bets and whatnot. And of course, there's going to be security down here as well. As in, somebody is going to be taking the bets, you know, the whole announcer thing, and there's going to be like a bodyguard or two to, you know, make sure everything goes smoothly and that people pay up. Now, all of the roles that we've done so far have gone into preparing us for this. We need to ask a very important question. Is Renji the one fighting? I think given his background, it's very likely that he is, but then again, he might not be. With our chaos factor of 4, our chances for this is going to be a 65%. Is he fighting? A 49. Yes, he is currently fighting. His shirt is off, his muscles are out, there's sweat glistening on his body. What kind of a person is he fighting? Let's actually go ahead and set that one up too. I'm going to use my character descriptor oracle here, so let's see what we get. A 86. Ooh, 86 is burnt out. All right, let's go. So this guy probably has some sort of cybernetics here, and Renji's managed to like disable some of those. Maybe he's got like powered arms or a powered arm, and he's managed to like cut in there so it's not fully functional. It's like all burnt out. He's managed to cross some wires or do something, and there's some smoke coming from this guy's arm. Kind of almost imagining like someone like Jax from Mortal Kombat with just one arm. And Renji definitely has the upper hand here. Based on the nature of us entering this area, we do have a complication. That's just from our previous roll. And I actually have a table for complications here. I'm not actually sure how it's going to work. I believe some of the options are going to be a little bit wonky, but hey, we can probably roll with that. So I'm going to go ahead and roll my D66 and see what we get. A 56. All right. A mythic curse afflicts the team. Oh, that's interesting. This one's gonna have to be a status, I imagine. So just by entering this area, maybe Rin's powers, her mythical powers, are weakened somewhat. And I'm gonna go ahead and say power suppression tier 3 sounds reasonable. And the really cool thing is, at least in terms of the GM screen that I have for Metro Otherscape, it does have consequences by actions, and some of the ones for the Mythos power says you can have their source sapped or depowered, or burn a tag, or runs out of a magical ingredient, and I think that really sounds great. So I'm actually going to go ahead and say sapped tier 3 for this one. Anything that allows us to use a mythic tag, that's gonna be sapped tier 3, so that's gonna give us a -3 for that roll. That's pretty brutal, actually, but I really do like it. Rin steps into this room and she sees Renji dealing with this guy in the center of this ring, and she feels different, odd. Not quite weak, she's still physically capable, she's got the training of a ninja and an assassin, but she feels distant from herself, as if another part of her is weakened. She continues to watch this fight. We're actually going to go ahead and ask a fake question here. Does Renji win the fight? And I think this one is probably going to be nearly certain. I'm not going to go ahead and say absolutely certain, because I think there is a degree of failure here. The guy could definitely come back with some surprise or something like that. And so we're actually just going to roll our nearly certain. This is a 75% chance for a yes. Let's see what happens. A 49, that is a yes. He does win. It's not extremely yes, but it is a yes nonetheless. We see Renji gearing up for one final attack. He is a very capable ninja, and his opponent is frustrated, and he rushes in with his organic arm. Of course, Renji predicted this. This is what he was waiting for. And in fact, as he gets there, he ducks down and he sticks something right in the guy's gut. And he quickly pulls his hand away. Nobody seems to really know why there's now blood on the floor, but I imagine that Rin saw the movement all the same. The guy slumps down to the floor, and he's not really moving. He's not dead, but he isn't really getting up. He is very much injured. A couple of bodies move forward to drag the guy away as others begin cheering. Renji is the victor here. And as Renji holds up his hands in triumph, he begins to look around and... uh-oh. Does he spot Rin? We should probably roll for that. Rin is a trained assassin. She's best in the business. She is trained in ninjutsu. And I think those are the 3 tags that we're going to use here. We don't need to worry about sapped because this isn't really using our mythical powers. So let's just go ahead and roll and see what we get. A 5 and a 3 make 8 plus another 3 make 11. So that is an extreme success, or a strong hit as the book actually calls it. So we get all of the benefit, none of the consequence. Rin manages to hide herself in the crowd here. We're actually going to make a status for Rin here called Blending In Tier 3. As Renji holds up his hands and he turns around and, does a whole 360 thing looking at all of his adoring fans, Rin is going to notice his tattoo, or rather, the lack of a tattoo. I think there's going to be some sort of a scar there, but the tattoo that should be there from the Shadow Academy is no longer visible. And as Renji continues to get the crowd all riled up, someone is going to approach him in the center. And I actually want to roll and see what kind of a person this is, but not really in a way from any of my oracles. Well, actually, I am going to use one oracle. I'm going to use the characters list on the adventures list because I want to see exactly who it is, or rather, which faction they belong to. Let's roll a d10 and we'll consult the chart. A 4. Ooh, somebody from the ghost market here. Let's go ahead and get some descriptors out here. Just like with Renji's opponent, I'm going to be using my descriptor oracle here. A 12 for gritty, and let's see, 26 for hushed. I like hushed. Let's go with that. Someone who is hidden or almost unnoticeable. Someone who is almost as skilled at hiding as Rin is. Just someone in the background. But Rin recognizes that this person is important in some way. And this is where we'll actually end this session here. Now, I'm actually going to go ahead and roll for the scene changes in the next video, but what I will do is figure out what the chaos factor is for the next session. So, were we in control of that entire session? I think if we really compare the amount of successes that Rin had to the not so great successes, I would kind of opt to say that she was in control here. She did start off a little bit rough with the whole encounter with the dudes that were attracted to her, but she actually did manage to turn it around. So we're gonna go ahead and lower the chaos factor to 3 for the next session. Before I leave things off here though, I do have a question for you, dear viewer. This new partner that Renji has, who are they? I've kind of already said that it's a she, but maybe it's a he. Maybe they're in between. Maybe there's something else. Let's see what you guys can come up with, and I will of course pick a suitable descriptor for the next session. Give me as much details as you're willing, and this could also even include any supernatural powers or anything that's cybernetic or anything like that. Feel free to get creative, and let's see what we've got. Thank you for watching. Feel free to leave a comment down below and help this channel out by giving it a huge thumbs up. Hopefully your dice rolls this week will be amazing. I will see you guys in the next session.
Check back every other Thursday for a new episode of Table for One, a solo role-playing podcast. If you would like to support this podcast, please rate it or give it a thumbs up wherever you happen to be listening from. If you happen to be watching on YouTube, subscribe and be sure to leave a comment. Music was provided by Tabletop Audio and Artlist with AI voice work by 11 Labs.